Hello and welcome back to Take Refuge 3D with me, Peter. Now, I made a video a while ago saying that Zbrush coming to iPad in 2024 was quite exciting for a couple of reasons. Now, it might be a little bit less exciting with this new release of Nomad Sculpt version 1.85. For those of you who don't know what Nomad Sculpt is, it is a iOS and Android sculpting app. And it's been getting better and better over the years, but it's always been missing a couple of features that were present in Zbrush and even in Blender. So I want to cover a couple of those that make this really exciting this time around. The first one is face groups. So if you don't know what face groups are, they're new to Nomad Sculpt. They have them in Blender and they're called face sets. And they have them in Zbrush and they're called poly groups. And, you know, logically in Nomad Sculpt, they're called face groups. So here you go. So what a face group is essentially a way of masking your mesh. Okay, so you can mask your mesh, but each time you mask it, it adds a new color. So you could do this with a brush or something like that. So we could, I don't know, start to make a face. And then what you could do is you could start to mask face sets individually on their own and then start to sculpt like that. So that's one use for them. Another use for them is if you I don't know, we could make a shape here. That'll do. Okay, like for making armor or something like that. And then if we mask that off, okay, we could then come into our mask tools and make an extraction or a carving. So if you make an extraction, that's one thing. If you make a carving, that's another. And then you're left with a couple of different objects. You can get rid of the big one. And then you've got that. And you can see here, if we click on face groups, it makes face groups for you. Okay, which brings me to my next addition. Now the next addition is Quad Remesher. Now this is, when you click on this the first time, it will prompt you to pay 25 Australian dollars, I think it's 15 US. Now for context, that's a little bit more expensive than Nomad Sculpt as an app. Okay, so Quad Remesher is 25 Australian. Nomad Sculpt I think is 23 Australian. So all in all, you're paying to get Quad Remesher and Nomad Sculpt around about 40 something dollars Australian. I don't know what that is in other currencies. You can probably figure it out. Quad Remesher is made by the same person or the same team, Exoside, who made Z Remesher for ZBrush. And you can also get Quad Remesher as a standalone app for PC. And I believe for a commercial license, it costs 109 US dollars. So getting it for 25 Aussie dollars on iPad is an absolute steal for Nomad Sculpt. And just for context, we'll turn on our wireframe and we've got our wireframe here. Okay, so we can see this is just our raw data from getting the extraction. Now previously there was a way to quad remesh here, so we'll just for context, let's just call this 5,000. Let's just for science we'll do 5,000 like this. Okay, and we will remesh it. Okay, not a big difference. So let's do the same on quad remesher. Okay, 5,000. Okay, and you can tell whether you want it to use face groups or symmetry or whatever. So we'll turn face groups on because we know that it's using face groups, and we'll just get rid of this and we'll remesh it. Okay, and look at that topology. That is fantastic. Now what you can also do is tell it to adaptive side and auto detect hard edges. Okay, and we can take our face groups relaxing up to I don't know, 230%, and you'll see what happens. Okay, so it's on the edge of these face groups. It's got perfect topology and edges. Okay, so that's quite exciting. So you can understand that you could do a lot of things with that, especially for doing things like making clothing and armor and things like that. Okay, so moving along, what's even more exciting is we'll just open up another file. Okay, I'll use this dragon's head. Okay, so we've got this, And you can see that this, if I just change our background color, up the top left it says this has got 4.9 million vertices, okay? So you can see that that is quite a dense mesh, okay? It's not even complete yet, but let's say we wanted to quad remesh this, okay? Let's just go in here, okay? We'll make a duplicate, okay? So we'll click clone, okay? And we'll choose our original one. We'll turn our duplicate off for now. And we'll just quad remesh this, okay? We'll turn face groups off. We'll leave symmetry on, okay? And let's say, I think something like this is more like, let's say, I think 75,000 might be a good target for this one to start with. Okay, and let's remesh this, okay? So we can confirm that. It might take a little while because it's such a highly dense mesh. We'll just let it take its time. And as you can see, that has made a low poly copy and a pretty good job. So if we turn on wireframe here, I might have it turned off in the settings, so we'll just turn wireframe auto. It's actually done a pretty good job, okay? So this is pretty good topology, and it would be easy to unwrap. Maybe not as good as if you manually did it, but also pretty good geometry just for this. And what we can then do, okay, is if we turn back on our other head, okay, and we just select this one, and then we can actually reproject from high res, okay? And then if we turn off our high one again, you can see we got some of those details back, and you can actually press the reproject button a couple of times. So we'll just turn that one back on, and we'll just go reproject from high res, and you'll start to get some of the topology back. Then what you can do, if we look at this one, it's got 155,000, so we might actually want to just like remesh that even lower, okay? Okay, and we'll just remesh that one more time. Now it's come down even further. We can turn adaptive size down, okay, and we'll click remesh one more time. And we're getting a lot more even geometry now. And then what we can do is we can just reproject from the high res one more time. And you'll see this happen a few times. And then what we can do is we can come down to UV unwrap, okay, and we'll just unwrap that. It might take a little moment. And then we can bake the texture from the high res. And we're doing a 4K texture down here, so it's set to 4K. And there you can see, now that we've come out of face groups, that we've actually baked that texture in from the high res. And if we look at our wireframe, we've still got that texture. Now, you will notice that I did probably optimize this a little bit too much and lost some of the details, but this, for this example, that's perfect. So what you can see there, we've got our whole remeshing and baking normals, low to high poly workflow inside of Nomad Sculpt. No need for any other software. And as one last thing for my plasticity watches, I did export a plasticity mesh. Okay, I did try to use the OBJ exporter with tries, but then I didn't get quite great results. So I did Ngon export, and then I used Ngon Pro to get the mesh optimized, and I got a little bit better results. And watch this. So I'll put on screen the mesh from Plasticity. We'll just import this chest here. Okay, new project. Okay, you can see here, if we go into MatCap, we can see here, if we look at our wireframe, this is the export from Ngon Pro. Now, let's just directly select our mesh, go to quad remesher, and let's just call this like, I don't know, 100,000 polys. Okay, let's just remesh that instantly. Boom. Okay, so now we can get, I don't know, our brushes and start to sculpt. So that is just an amazing, you know, you want to start to give some definition here, maybe some wear and tear on these edges, you know. So using plasticity to make a base mesh to come into Nomad, and obviously with the quad remesher now, it just makes everything so much better. And you can also, you know, you can use face sets to separate different parts, so, or face groups rather. So we can go to face groups, we can choose a rectangle, right? We can select that one, and then we can collect hide and invert. Okay, and we can just hide these other little portions here. Like so. And then we can just face group those, and then you could later on, once we clear our hidden stuff, you can then use the face groups, I don't know, pen to just mask, or just to mask one area, so that you're not damaging that as you work on it. And you know, you can get in with your brushes like that, and Bob's your uncle. All right, so thanks for watching. Don't forget, Ngon Pro is still available and is up on the links below. If you want to get that to help optimize your mesh quickly in Blender from Plasticity or any other Ngon or quad based poly modeling.